So, hi, this is Kim Weeks with Weeks Well of the Lineages Conversation with Yoga Alliance. And it's been such a pleasure getting to know all of these lineage heads as we prepare to have their 101 talks with Yoga Alliance and then their master classes, which are truly classes in a class of their own. And so, Atmaram, it's nice to see you on day 2 of our trying to get the Zoom recording right. And we were talking a little bit about how different yoga feels and operates in the 21st century than it did even 30 or 40 years ago, because in the quote beginning of modern yoga, you were saying yesterday, you would talk to somebody about being a yoga practitioner, a yogi, a yogini, and they would say, my teacher is, or who's your teacher? So I'd love to hear more of your thoughts about that, about what it is in this parampara, what it is in this guru, shishya, teacher-student relationship that is so special about your experience of yoga practice, but also of Sivananda.
Yeah, well, yeah, like we were saying yesterday, traditionally, if we go back a couple of, 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago, in the tradition of yoga, of the Upanishads, who is your teacher was actually your label in a way. It was how you would identify yourself. You wouldn't say, this is where I live or where, but you would say, this is my teacher. And once you know who's your teacher, then you know who was your teacher's teacher, and then you go back. That's what we call a lineage, or the guru parampara. And that was in ancient time for forever. It's always been the way to determine, what was authentic or not, depending on who had taught you, because remember, the teaching was for a very long time an oral tradition.
Yeah.
So there was no books, etc., and the only reference was who had taught you. And for such a long time, this was the reference. And I think until now, it's still a very valid way of determining, it's like your certificate in a way, it's like you're stamped by who taught you,
Right.
who you spend your time with to learn the yoga.
Yeah, these yoga, it's so interesting, the concept of authentic and sincere, because the counterpoint that I do think people mount is that these were exclusive traditions that necessarily did not include like all, and in this span and space of yoga being an accessible practice for everybody. I think we're at a time when we have to say that. But what I'm noticing, and I have to, I mean, of course we always have, but I think that's what I find in my conversations with you all in these lineages conversations, is that there's no doubt in any of our minds that yoga is for everyone, for anyone. It is for all. And the specific methodologies are the systems that your teacher, that my teacher, that their teachers came up with, that was their best guess at how to get to that deepest part of joy and the soul. Would you say that that's like an accurate statement, or does that resonate with you?
Yes. You know, we are talking about something which sometimes cannot be so easily, defined. So, for example, if you're talking about something like prana or subtle energy, how do you know? It's not scientifically, you cannot really prove whether it's there or not. And so you refer to somebody whom you trust and who, says, well, I cannot give you scientific proof, but I've experienced it myself, and I can give you some guidelines.
Yeah.
If you practice in this way, you're going to have the same experience yourself. And then it's up to us. We do the practice, and then we measure, you know, the degree of success in terms of, oh, my experience corresponds to, you know, what is being described in the tradition, not only by my teacher, but my teacher is also, you know, reflecting what all other people, all other yogis, you know, have experienced before, one generation after another, after another, after another. That's what we call a tradition. So in that way, you know, the tradition gives you an assurance of authenticity about certain experiences. That's very difficult because we otherwise don't know what's true and what's not true. It's not necessarily so. That's valid about prana, but what about, you know, about the experience of the self, who we are? This is something which is way beyond anything that we can see with our senses, with our even when our intellect is not able to go that far. And somebody is telling us, well, there is an experience, you know, of peace, of you know, of inner contentment, of joy, and I've experienced it, you know, and it's common to so many different other yogis who can also testify that, oh, it's something that can be experienced and that we can also experience ourselves. Yeah, so that's what I think. I think the power of the tradition, of the lineage,
Yeah.
bring us this. Yeah.
It's so well put. And as we talked about yesterday, I think that, I mean, we didn't actually say this, I'm going to say it, is that, you know, as we are, you know, sort of careening into this unknown space of the 21st century, things have always been unknown. And we are in the Kali Yuga, as we have been discussing, because things are not easy. But at the same time, at the same time, practice is the thing that repetitively can and often does put you in touch with your deepest self. So the more you do, a lot of people, it's very popular to say, like, I'm my own teacher, I'm my own guru, because the guru conversation is very fraught now. Again, and at the same time, it's still the practice. And these things that you were saying that your teacher said to you, these are the things that I did that put me in touch with myself. So how about you trying these things to put you in touch with yourself? That to me has always seemed like the simplest of the transmissions. Like, I tried this, I'm going to say this, and I think you can try this and also do that, you know?
Yeah. So of course, you know, the key thing in that tradition is trust.
Yeah.
You know, because if you have trust in your teacher, then, you know, you will put the energy to practice.
Yeah.
If you doubt, then you don't know whether it's true or not. So you will not have the same enthusiasm into practicing whatever is being advised.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
trust and love, you know, it's a loving relationship. It's really based on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Through all of these teachings. Well, I'm gonna stop recording now and say I can't wait to talk to you more in October for our 2 sessions. We talk once and we get to learn from you in the second, in the Sivananda tradition, which is going to be awesome. I can't wait.
Thank you.